And now, please welcome to the stage Executive Vice President of Impact at the Environmental Defense Fund, Angela Churie Kallhauge, for a conversation on advancing equitable climate solutions.
You know, I'd like to bring you in as we're kind of moving toward the end of the program to hear from you about your reflections on what has been said today and also kind of what you're seeing as some of the key challenges, but also opportunities. I think this is a space where we recognize we really need to lean into those opportunities. And so, from your perspective, how do you react to and reflect on what has been said? And how can we lean into the opportunities?
Thank you very much and good afternoon. Of course, coming after that last panel, which was pretty high energy, I think one could summarize that what we are lacking at the moment is a courage to act. I think there is, I think it was Richard who said this earlier, clear alignment on the need to actually move towards a just transition. The clear understanding that we do have a problem with the financial system. We have a problem of inequitable access to resources, inequitable allocation of resources, and also inequitable prioritization, which means that some countries are faring worse than others. And of course, even within countries, that's where we do then see this even down to the community level. So the challenge is growing. I mean, climate change is not waiting for anyone. The scale of problem is growing. And I think what we really do need is the courage to try and keep up, not only with the scale of the challenge, but to move at a speed that can start generating results, but also putting us on that path in the direction that we need to go.
And when you hear comments like Richard made, for example, about the need for greater networking, the need to break down silos, and the need to mobilize more private capital and bring together civil society organizations, what should be the collective focus of stakeholders in the years ahead, understanding that there has to be much more collaborative action to address these collective issues?
Well, from where I sit and from the point of view of an organization such as ours, the collective focus has to be people. We have to be centering everything we do on the people who need to do the things, but also who are basically being impacted and would benefit from the interventions. The importance of networking, and I think for us, we're a small organization in the bigger scheme of things, is absolutely critical because one alone cannot actually generate the results that are needed. So being able to network, being able to partner, but most importantly, being aligned on the principles of equity and justice in what we do and ensuring that that translates not from just being words or theoretical, but translates into real actions with the people, for the people, and by the people, the communities themselves, then I think we will be starting to move towards an alignment and a collaboration on real solutions.
And when you think about the discussion on impact and also what has been discussed this week among the World Bank and the IMF about a new agenda and a new roadmap and mobilizing capital, the crisis preparedness toolkit, how can these reforms, from your perspective, really move the dial?
So first of all, I think the playbook that the World Bank has put forward contains a lot of things that are great. Of course, the test of the pudding is in the eating, of course, as we know. But what I think has been really remarkable is the integration of crisis, preparedness, and response within that broader context of development, recognizing that I think when they added on to address poverty and achieve prosperity in a livable planet, it added on that dimension that we are basically working against time. We are basically in a fast-moving situation where we need to adapt to be able to generate impact. When I listen to the conversations today, and I also listen to what Ajay Banga was saying, we need to also move away from just that quantitative, should I say, assessment of what we consider progress, to really bringing in a qualitative element to it. Are we really driving change? Are we getting people out of poverty? Are we improving the statistics of child health and mortality? And putting this in a way that people can actually relate to.
That contextualization is so important, and the qualitative understanding absolutely essential. And as was mentioned earlier too, I think as we think about project development, allocation of financing, understanding that it needs to be coming from the countries, through the lens of the countries and the context in which it's being deployed. I'm wondering, when you think about what needs to happen here and what could move the dial at IMF World Bank meetings, and how this connects to the next very important global gathering at COP28. What needs to happen here, and how can that be bridged to COP28?
So I'll start off with COP28. I think this is one of the big milestones. We are going to take stock of progress. We already know what the report card says. We're not doing well. And what we do hope that we'll be getting out of the COP is a strong push on ambition. But as Avinash said, ambition without money is empty. And it's not going to be just about the quantity of the money, it's about the quality of the money and what the quality of the interventions that will be supported and the equity in that context, because there's, of course, always that risk that someone will get left behind. So what I hope will be coming out of here is taking seriously some of the elements that are within this new playbook and taking seriously the voices that we have heard here around where things are not entirely coming together, and translating this into a conversation on a just transition that will not only build from bottom up, from the country to the global level, so that when we're leaving Dubai, we're leaving with something that is different from what we've had all along. We'll be looking to see whether this momentum that's being generated will be translated into some real resources being put on the table, whether this will help countries then move into a phase where they're putting forward strategies that are transformational, that could actually be utilized to drive the funds. And we'd also be looking forward to seeing a lot more inclusive engagement of stakeholders from across the board. And here when I say across the board, I mean even those that sometimes are not even let into the room, because we want to hold everybody who can do something accountable to actually do something. So and if I can just give an example of something that we're trying to do, is we want to see short-term action, or should I say action in the short term that will drive down emissions. We want to see action on methane, which we know that if we can actually start cutting methane today, and who's the number one to, on the line to cut methane? Oil and gas. If they can actually do that, if we can move to productive use of energy, if we can move to alternative energies, we will start actually doing something real. So we need to get behind the theoreticals and get more into the practicals, and that's what we're looking for out of COP28.
And what, from your perspective, needs to happen this week to facilitate that?
We need, of course, that honest conversation around the reform agenda of the bank, and of course the IMF. We need to see the commitment to try and repair some of these challenges in the financial system. We need to see a full recognition that to have equity and justice being part of how the bank is going to operate. And we also want to see a strong acknowledgement. I saw in the bank thing that they speak of a partnership charter. We want to see that being put into motion now. And that's why we, from a nonprofit point of view, from the perspective of some of our partners in the private sector, are ready to collaborate. But we'd like to see us now taking the steps to turn this from words into real action.
Very well put. And your points will be followed also by a perspective from COP28. And so we're really excited about what can be harnessed here, the conversations, the ideas, the innovation, and as you very aptly put, take advantage of the momentum to translate that into actions and next steps to really move the dial and move things forward. So thank you for your contributions and your partnership. Thank you.